3, 2, 1. Hey friends, Janky here, and welcome to another episode of Hanging with Janky. I apologize for the fact that half of my face looks like a ghost. It's because I'm recording earlier in the day than I usually do. It's like about 1 o'clock-ish right now. So the sun is still pretty high in the sky, which means it's coming through my window and making me look like the pale albino that I truly am. Also, you may notice I got a sweet new mug whipped out for today. This actually comes at me from Jesse James. It comes from a Twitter conversation we had where Jacksepticeye tweeted out this thing. It was like a cartoon skull that said "Sleep when I'm dead," and I'm like, I would love to have that on a mug. And Jesse was like, I can make that for you on my store. And I'm like, really? And she did. And I got it. So thank you, Jesse, for the sweet mug. I appreciate it. Speaking of cool people over on Twitter, my dear friend Super Antlers, pun intended, has sent out a request to everyone subscribed to his YouTube channel to hold up a sign like this one that you can't really read from this distance, but it says, I'm a deerling, hashtag for the herd at Super Antlers. He didn't request the hashtag for the herd, but I love a good pun, so here you go, buddy. This is my sign. Join the herd. It's great. It's awesome. Almost as cool as the Jank Squad. Now it's probably cooler. Let's get on with today's festivities, shall we? Channel talk, sub thanks, and of course, gaming news. There's a lot to talk about today, so let's get rolling. So first up in channel talk, let's talk a bit about what's going on with the channel. So, got a lot of good stuff up last week. Lots of Janky's Labs in the new Janky's Lab style, which I think is a much better review, which is what I want to do with that series. It actually shows off the game. It's cool. But the one video that I really want to tell you guys about is Janked Up Lore with Hennessy Rain, which was absolutely delightful. We talked Silent Hill. It was great. I think we actually may have solved some of the lore for once on Janked Up Lore, because I think we actually were into it enough that we actually got through some of the lore of the game. While also, I tried to just divert us as far as possible. It's delightful. You should definitely check it out if you haven't already. As for what's coming up on the channel, we have all the usual suspects. More Janky's Lab coming up. Got some great games for you. Some Janky Uncensored, which I need to ask you guys for topics because I need some new ones. And also, the return of Pit People with Joel Bone. It will be delightful because we are back in the saddle again. Check it out, guys. It'll be great. And with that, let's move on to thanking some subscribers, shall we? We have 246 subscribers to the channel right now. 4 subscribers away from you guys making me jump into a bathtub full of ice. So close, guys. So close. I know you're anxious for it. And you know what? I'll even up the ante. I'll eat jalapeno peppers, and I'll do the charcoal face mask thing at the same time, because why not just knock those all out at once? If we can get to 250 by next week, I'll do that for you guys. Call it here. That's what we'll do. Anyway, let's get to thanking the new subscribers this week, shall we? So, first up, we have Lucy Stockdale, a fellow YouTuber. She has 551 subscribers to her channel. She's all about that gaming, Outlast 2, Titanfall 2, Doom, all that good stuff. She's super cool and sweet. Go check her out. And Lucy, keep doing you, girl. Is it weird that I always say that? I don't know. But keep being awesome. So, and thank you so much for joining the Jank Squad. The other person we have to thank this week is Danny Minty. Thank you, Danny Minty. You are an incredible, amazing, wonderful, inspiring human being. Keep doing you. Thank you so much for being a part of the Jank Squad. Love you so much. Thank you. And of course, my thanks to all 246 members of the Jank Squad. You guys are all awesome, amazing, inspiring human beings who go out there and you change the world every day in ways that you don't even know. You're important. There is no one quite like you. You are unique. All of that stuff. And thank you so much for being a part of my crew. So, thank you so much. I hope that you continue to enjoy my content moving forward. And as always, love you. Alright, so with all that mushy mush out of the way, let's move on into gaming news, starting with quickfire news, which is quickly becoming my favorite section of this show, because oh my goodness, it's just so much fun to rapid fire news. Let's get to it, shall we? So let's start off quickfire news by talking about Overwatch's Horizon Lunar Colony map. That's right, if you were curious where Winston comes from, now you can see it. As a 3v3 elimination map currently available on the PTR. Will probably be dropping on the game in a few weeks, but if you're super curious, definitely check it out on the public test realm server. Speaking of things from outer space, if you enjoy the Crystal Gems and Steven Universe, a sequel to the critically acclaimed game Steven Universe Attack the Light is on the way, known as Steven Universe Save the Light, which will be coming to consoles, Xbox One and PS4 sometime this summer, so watch out for that. Speaking of spiritual successors, Pokeland, which is a new app now in Android exclusive testing in Japan, is the spiritual successor to the classic game Pokemon Rumble World. You take control of cute little Pokemon toys and guide them throughout the world as you collect more Pokemon toys through awesome battles. Speaking of Nintendo, Classic Games Collection will be coming to the Nintendo Switch. It will be part of their online service as long as you have a subscription. You can download and play classic Nintendo games for free. This will not be a replacement for the Virtual Console, which is a feature on the Wii, the Wii U, and the 3DS, where you can buy old games and play them on those systems. Hopefully that will be coming to the Switch at a later date. Speaking of classic games, the Final Fantasy VII Remake has been moved in-house for Square Enix. Originally they were using some other developers to help them make the code for the game, but since Final Fantasy is their baby and so closely associated with the Square Enix name, they have moved the development of the game in-house. Hopefully that's a good thing for the game because it looks awesome and I cannot wait to see it. Speaking of Square Enix and Nintendo and all those big developers, if you're not going to E3 but you still want to watch the conference on the big screen, Sony is streaming their conference live to select theaters. So if you want to check out the Sony conference on the big screen, go over to their website and see if they're streaming to a theater near you. Otherwise, you can just watch E3 over on Twitch, which is what I do, and that's how I cover E3. And that's it for quickfire news. Slowing things down a bit, let's talk about Steam, who has released a new blog post talking about the changes coming to the store. So let's start this thing off by talking about Steam Direct, which is the replacement for Steam Greenlight, which is basically a way for games to actually get on the Steam store. Now, the way that Steam Greenlight currently works is that a game is proposed, and then it has to be voted on by the community, and if it gets so many votes after a certain amount of time, it goes into publication. People have been abusing this system though to put a lot of junk out on the website. Basically, all developers have to do is pay a one-time $100 fee and put as many games as they want on Greenlight, and it has just flooded the store with a whole bunch of nonsense. So Steam Direct is supposed to be sort of an answer to Steam Greenlight. Basically, they originally thought of it as a way to sort of curb the influx of things that we don't want in the Steam store. And the way that they do that is the games go straight to the store, but the developers have to pay a fee. Now, originally when this story dropped, I did do a news thing on it then, and they were talking about fees anywhere from $200 to $5,000, which would be absolutely crazy for small dev teams to afford. I mean, they just couldn't. And of course, everyone latched onto the $5,000, and everyone was just like, what are you doing, Steam? What are you doing? So Steam had an internal discussion about the whole thing, and they landed on $100 as the entry fee. Now, again, this is per game, so unlike Steam Greenlight, it's not a one-time $100 fee, and you can release as many games as you want, but this is $100 per game. The nice thing about it is that it is recoupable as long as the game makes over $1,000 in sales. So if the game does well, they're able to get that $100 back, which is nice. So in the end, we decided we're going to aim for the lowest barrier to developers as possible with a $100 recoupable publishing fee per game, while at the same time working on features designed to help the store algorithm become better at helping you sift through the games. We're going to look for specific places where human eyes can be injected into the store algorithm to ensure that it is working as intended and to ensure it doesn't miss something interesting. We're also going to closely monitor the kinds of game submissions we're receiving so that we're ready to implement more features like the trading card changes we covered in the last blog post, which aim to reduce the financial incentives for bad developers to game the store algorithm. We believe that if we inject human thinking into the store algorithm while at the same time increasing the transparency of its output, we'll have created a public process that will incrementally drive the store to better serve everyone using it. So that kind of tails off of the thing that they mentioned in the last blog post, which was they're trying to make the store algorithm more visible on your Steam page, so you actually see what information it's taking in to make the decisions for you that it's making. So it's like, I'm recommending this game to you based on all of these games that you looked at or played or whatever, which I think that's going to help a lot with the Steam store, because then if something is really weird, you could be like, why is this on my recommendation list? And why does it say that it came from this? Because I never played this game, or, whatever. It's easier to see when the algorithm is messing up because they're making it very visible. Now, I did look at a couple different places, Polygon, Eurogamer, Gamasutra, just to see what people's reactions to this were. Generally, it kind of seems like a wash between Steam Greenlight and Steam Direct. Most people don't seem to feel that it will affect things either way. And particularly on Gamasutra, a lot of the devs over on Twitter were just kind of like, ugh, whatever, Steam is a terrible place to be discovered anyway, just go to itch.io. So we'll see if this works or if it doesn't work. The one thing that I can say for Steam in this situation is that in terms of visibility, they are clearly trying to work on that as well, with making the Steam algorithm more visible so you can see where things are coming from. And a lot in this blog post, they just talk about trying to make it so they're not necessarily trying to curb the games coming in, but they're trying to get the games in front of the eyes of people who actually play them. So I think that that's something to keep an eye on as time goes by, and hopefully they'll be able to make it what they want it in the end. The other thing too in this blog post is about Steam curators, because they're making a lot of changes to the Steam curation program. Basically, curators will be able to make lists of games, which they can't currently do, and they could also add in their own content, so YouTube reviews and things like that they can show alongside the games that they're showcasing, so you can see what their thoughts are. And I just like the Steam curator program in general, and actually reading these changes, it kind of makes me want to become a curator, because that would be a great thing to do with Janky's Lab, is to make it like a Steam curation page. So I might make that, and then you guys can follow me on Steam. I'll be your curator. And that's pretty much all I got about this. So you can check out the blog post down below though, so that's cool. Lame endings. Another thing I wanted to cover today was that one thing that I noticed over on Twitter is whenever I ask my random questions, usually at the beginning of the month, I send out a tweet that's, what's the game that you're most looking forward to this month? And a lot of people are like, I don't know what games are coming out this month. So I decided to implement a new thing at the beginning of each month. The first Hanging with Janky at the beginning of the month, I will talk about the games coming out this month so that you guys have some idea what's coming up if you don't already. So here we go with games coming out in June. So the first game we have coming out in June is Tekken 7, which is already on the scene, released June 2nd. It is the latest in the string of Tekken fighting games. People are super excited. Definitely go check that out if you're into the fighting genre. It looks really awesome in HD, and everyone's super hyped about it. So definitely go check out Tekken 7 if you haven't already. If you're interested in Elder Scrolls, you're fans of Oblivion and Skyrim, and maybe play Elder Scrolls Online, you'll be happy to know that the Morrowind expansion is opening June 6th. So definitely check that out if you're a fan of those games. It will be a huge expansion to the online game. Morrowind is huge. Oh my god, just a giant expansion. So there'll be lots to do if you're into that. Next up, if you're a fan of Telltale and Guardians of the Galaxy, Episode 2 of Guardians of the Galaxy will also be releasing on June 6th, so definitely go check that out if you're into those episodic adventures. If you're one of the people eagerly anticipating the release of Nintendo Switch's ARMS game, I'm happy to tell you that that will be releasing on June 16th, and as part of their E3 exhibit, they will be holding an ARMS tournament, so definitely check that out as well. Again, if you're a fan of online adventure and also a fan of Final Fantasy XIV Stormblood expansion will be coming June 20th with a whole bunch of new story for you to check out in Final Fantasy Online. And if you're like me and a huge fan of the Crash Bandicoot trilogy and have been waiting for the HD remake Crash Insane Trilogy, it will be coming out June 27th. And that's what I have for major June releases, so hopefully you saw something there that excited you. If not, well, just keep looking. Let's move on to our last story of the day, shall we? So last story of the day, our opinion piece, Ubisoft's new logo. So the developer Ubisoft finally came out with a new logo. I shouldn't say finally, I mean they didn't need one, but they usually change it up every decade or so and they were a little overdue. So they finally changed it up and came up with this new logo. Basically, it's the same as the last logo they had, which they implemented back in 2003. It's just more minimalistic. Personally, I kind of like the one they had right before this better, just because I felt like it had more depth and it was more interesting to look at. But they were going for minimalism and monochromatic, and they were just trying to be like trendy, I don't know. Anyway, I'm just curious because I took to Twitter just to see what people's general thoughts are. Most people don't seem to care one way or the other about it, but the tweets I did see were kind of like ragging on this new logo because people are just like, why change it? Like, why did you need to? It's kind of like how Pepsi changed their logo a few years back, you know, and they like just barely changed the one line and everyone was just like, why though? Why? How much did you pay to get that new logo done? Anyway, I'm just curious what your thoughts are. Not necessarily even on the Ubisoft logo, but just on changes in logos in general. Like, is it a good thing, or do you feel like people should probably just stick with the same logo unless they have, like, a real good idea? I don't know, and I'm curious to hear what you guys think about, so let me know in the comments down below. And that's all I got for gaming news. So, I hope you guys enjoyed yet another Hanging with Janky. If you did, you can leave those likes down below. Comments, positive or negative, you can leave those below as well. But more than anything, I hope you have a lovely day, evening, or whenever you happen to be watching. Thank you so much for watching, and until the next time, this is Janky Shenanigans, signing out. Do